All right. Good morning, everybody. The time is around 1:44 a.m. We're getting real close to 2 a.m. Now then, wanted to take some time to give a little bit of advice to everybody. I understand we're in some really dark times right now. There's a lot going on. Um, so much going on. So many fatalities out there. So many people we've lost. Whether it be even not even just this within this year, but over the past couple of years, we've either lost loved ones, we've lost pets, friendships have been shattered, families have been broken apart, even just relationships have been destroyed as well. Whether you are being targeted by this program or not, either way, a lot of us have actually dealt with quite a bit of this. But you know something? We've been through so much, all of us have, in our own different experiences dealing with this targeting program that seeks to just to basically destroy our very soul, which it doesn't have the power to do. um Over these years and over my own experiences, I have learned that the free will that God has given us is genuinely strong, and that no like there's absolutely no amount of force that these perpetrators can do to ever destroy that. And whether we either ended up sinning ourselves, or we fall in some kind of way, in some type of aspect of way, to where it either causes us to either to grieve, or it causes us to feel sadness. Everything to where these perpetrators do is always stem towards the negative, and it's all meant to bring us down, to make us more vulnerable. They use these tactics to also not just put you in a state of sadness, but also a state of anger as well. As you all may have seen in one of my example videos, when I basically posted a video showing what one of these perps was doing. You see, they tried to anger you in order to get you to make to be more able to make mistakes, in order to basically set you up farther to where they get you in a position where they want you at. But they have bombarded us and beaten us down with so much harassment, so much subliminal messaging tactics, and so much frequencies. So much has happened, and we are still strong. We're still standing, despite how much corruption exists within this world. We got to remember there's more out there than the world that we are seeing right now. This, you got to remember, there are angels out there fighting for all of us in the spiritual realm. Um, Thinking about it from this perspective, behind this great evil, there's a whole bunch of Satanists, right? A whole bunch of devil worshiping. Uh, I don't even know if you can even call them people anymore. I really don't think you can. Maybe they still are, but they're just twisted in a way to where they've been towards more evil and more selfishness and hate. Thus, if there's great evil out there, there's got to be great good. The way I see it, they can destroy the flesh quite easily, but they can't destroy the soul. That's not they're not capable of that. It doesn't matter even if this multi-billion-dollar technology that they have that exists. You see, they can't just up and destroy a soul because of how powerful the willpower is that God has given us. Not to mention the protection that we're also receiving from God and the angels that are looking out for us. Now, in regards to this, they can easily just destroy the flesh, but they can't destroy the soul. It's just not possible. This is why when it comes to these demonic entities, everything that basically deals with them deals with a type of contract. This is where you got to be careful with a lot of the things that they're existing out now. This is what, what they basically stoop to. They convince people, making things, seem ordinary and regular, and, seem to be not so bad, but in reality, some of these things are very deceitful, and they have fooled quite a lot of people, such as the holiday known as Christmas. Well, most people don't know that Christmas is technically a holiday of paganism. Now, if you did the history behind what paganism is, you probably would regret every single, Christmas you've ever celebrated. And you would never celebrate it again after researching it. But you see, that's the point. They're not gonna openly just tell you what that is. They're just gonna expect you just to go, just to go with it, saying, no, it's just for the kids and all that, right? Just to see their happy little faces. But in reality, it's nothing more than just another satanic cult agenda. Same thing with just about every single holiday on the calendar. Even the days of the week can't even be trusted because the first letter of every day is a representation of a satanic entity that they worship. And, they're not going to expect you to know this because they're not going to tell you. You got to be careful, especially with a lot of the symbolic meanings they use when it comes to this harassment. Even, a prime example, the color harassment. You already know the meanings of what the Freemasons use color meanings for. Do not accept their meanings as your own. Come up with your own meanings. For mine, for blue and red, well, I view red as the color of love. I view blue as the color of freedom. I don't accept their meanings as my own. I don't accept their judgment as the true judgment of my life or even my afterlife. No, that's up to God. The way I see it, things that are portraying into this realm right now, after all of this, it's up to God to basically choose and judge those individuals on the situation. It's not up to me. It's not up to anybody but God to judge them and what they've done. There are warnings about a lot of this stuff, whether they heed them or whether they don't. Well, they'll find out the justifications of their actions. Now, for us, for all of us, we never asked to have to go through this. We never ever asked to have to go through this. Every day is just it's so every day is dangerous because you're at risk of someone trying to inject their mindset and basically try to replace it with yours, and thus the whole term, body hijacker, basically. And this is all done through AI technology of them uploading this to your brain due to the drug, to the covert drugging and also the chemtrail dumping that they do. There's no way God would ever blame us for that because we never asked for this. None of us did. None of us ever asked to have to go through this. But you know something? I'm not grateful for all the people who have been hurt, for the people whose lives been destroyed, but I am grateful for the fact that God was looking, did us the grace by sparing us from becoming like these zombies that we've have, seen over these years. The fact that we're able to see this shows that we've been chosen and that we just need to hang on until it's our time to pass on. You gotta hang on to the end as strong as you can. Pray every day if you must. But that's just how it is. This realm is hell within itself. So much poverty, so much greed, so much hate, so much diversity, and way lack of so much lack of understanding. And it's like, we try our best, but even though things get, may seem like they're getting worse, never lose hope. Okay? And don't ever think that you're the only one out there going through this, because there's tons of other people going through this. There's a lot of women are going through this. A lot of guys are going through this. Families, you name it. A lot of people are dealing with this. You know, thinking back, if things weren't like this, and then everybody wasn't at risk of having their mindset, altered to someone else's. And the scariest thing about that is you don't even know how that person, whoever they're trying to um, convert your mindset to, because that's usually how it works. It's like brain to brain interface with this technology. You don't even know what type of mental stability that person has, and most of these people who they do this with usually are either Satanists, sociopaths, or just bad individuals altogether. People who are not people individuals you would ever want to really deal with or ever be around. I always had a motto to where like don't deal with people who are or should I say don't deal with certain groups where it's just going to be nothing but trouble, such as gang related groups. I avoided them because I knew, well, there would just be trouble following that. And now, as we've gone through this and, basically undone the veil of the Matrix so far and seen exactly almost everything there is to be seen, um, it just goes to show you the corruption's all around us. I want to make this very clear. This whole structure that we are seeing today, and whether it's in the U.S. or any other country, this whole this whole BLM, this whole Antifa thing, all of that is just a part of the agenda for infighting, to get people to fight amongst each other, so that basically, you're technically doing the work for these agenda pushers, so they don't have to lift a finger, so they don't have to do anything. They rely on people's greed. They rely on people's malice to be able to seek, steal, kill, and destroy. We've seen a lot of malice coming from these gang stalkers in the fact that they lack the ability to really and truthfully think for themselves and to fend for themselves. In the end, they do nothing but depend on the very same system that screwed them over before. That screwed them over many times over, and it still will do the same as well. For instance, a lot of these diseases that a lot of people are suffering, especially sexual diseases, it was the government's experimentation that is the directly responsible for these problems coming out. But do the people take it out on the government for this? No, they take it out on other people, saying it's this person's fault that I got this. But in reality, you're directing your anger to an individual that did not have anything to do with the access to that lab or any of the stuff that basically went down when these government officials who are experimenting with this crap, when they intentionally released it to the public. Not to mention, it gets worse than that. It isn't just that, but it's also other things as well. Many of these different scenarios that we have experienced, that all of us have either just seen or been around in some kind of way or another, it's all of these problems have always came from the government, but not just them, but the people who are amongst us who are just, or either order followers or people who are just gullible enough to work for a Nazi based systematical structure that is just bent on controlling everything. That's just obsessed with control and just want to have ownership over every single thing, and it doesn't wish to stop until it has its hands in everything. They created, so the way they structured social media, you best believe the CIA, believe it was either the Central Intelligence Agency or the FBI that created a lot of the programs of social media. Anybody who they claim basically created that is a complete lie. It's a complete farce. These programs were structurally created in order to basically eavesdrop on the people's lives. You notice how a lot of if you look at the way Facebook's structured, you notice how they say, list your favorite hobbies, list some of your favorite movies. All of this stuff is giving them data on how you think, how you feel, and what type of stuff that you would most likely respond to, all being uploaded in a computerized system for them to basically hit you with this technology if they feel like it, or if they decide that you need to be made a target. But don't ever lose hope. Don't. You see, when you pass on all of this materialistic stuff, you can't take any of this with you. Why do you think they've gone so far? They came up with something known as adrenochrome, basically taking the stem cells from, human fetuses. Possibly, I'm afraid they probably are going as far as to do this to toddlers too. Who knows? I don't know. But as far as a lot of the stuff we've seen, it has been pretty bad. A lot of these insane ritualistic, we've already heard about some of them doing these ritualistic mess that's going on, but people are so scared that they don't want to speak out because they'll just end up getting replaced and basically killed, most likely because, well, they talked. But you see a lot of people, so you see that's fear. You can't. It's okay to be afraid, but you must never let fear own you. You have to have you have to be brave. You have to have bravery in order for you to keep proceeding in life. The only reason why we fall is to get back up again, to learn from our mistakes so that we won't make these same mistakes and repeat, these mistakes that we made in the past. This is easier said than done considering what this technology does and what these perpetrators aim to do with it. But I'll say this much. These satanic individuals who use these methods in order to basically sustain their youth, they do that for a reason because they know. Because think about it. If they were so confident of the afterlife, they would just allow themselves to die, but they know better. So why really think as best you can about this? Why would they have to use a method like that just to live forever? Why? If they're worshiping these demons, what do they have to fear of death, right? You would be wondering about that, and you see that's where it gets to the point to where it becomes very obvious. They have a whole lot to fear of death, a whole lot, because they have crossed lines that were never meant to be crossed. And I'm not talking about man's law, I'm talking about God's law. They have passed lines that were never meant to be crossed, and it's far too late for them to go back. So you may be wondering, well, what are they doing now? It's quite simple. They want to take as many people down as they possibly can along with them. Basically putting them on the ship, on the sinking ship that's already doomed to go down anyway. This is what's currently happening. All these people who are selling their soul for money in these, a lot of this corruptive events that they were basically, it could even be a small part, nothing, to harm anyone directly, but the whole structure of it still makes itself as a threat nonetheless, such as the threat of being able to try to take away the freedoms of so many people. And no matter how you look at it, they come up with regulations, laws, licenses, all kinds of idiotic stuff in order for you to actually be able to just go out and do something with your life. You can't even boat anymore without some kind of license or some paying some sort of fee to the damn system. You can't even fish to basically just try to sustain living and basically survive and both to feed both yourself and your family. No, it's not even like that anymore. It's like you have to be using the system. They fix it to where you had no choice but to use it, because if you don't use the system, well, they don't make no money and they don't get no traction with your location. Therefore the technology doesn't quite work out. I've learned to you know I've learned to be strong in times like this. I've been through so much and I've dealt with so much. And then I look at other people's struggles and something. I've been through that exact same thing at some point in my life. But it's because of all that pain that it made me a lot stronger. We all hurt from time to time as a result from a lot of the stuff we go through. But you know something? We still keep getting up and we still keep standing and moving forward despite that. The day we both pass on, that's anybody's guess. But I'll tell you one thing, just understand this one simple concept. Their main goal is to try to either get you in a line of despair, a line of, renouncing your faith, meaning just stripping, whatever faith you have, anything like that. The only thing I've ever said is just please just look into the religion you're worshiping, because they have been changing some stuff in the Bible. That's as much as I'm going to tell you, and that's anybody's choice to do so or not, you know. But always keep the faith. Always be confident in what you choose, and make sure it's what you believe in and exactly what you believe in, because, well, this technology can be deceitful. It really can. It could have you thinking things that you may think is your thoughts, but in reality, it's AI. When you start to detox yourself from this junk that they poison you with, you'll start to understand exactly when this is happening, and you'll be able to pick up on it as it's happening, and you'll be able to find out new methods to suppress it, and then eventually you'll learn how to block it out altogether. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. This is far from an easy task to do, because every time you would try to find new methods to block them out, new methods to basically heal yourself, they are going to look for other methods to try to interfere with that. This is what was happening to me in the city, but you know something? I stayed strong. Even when I was on my own, I still stayed strong. But you know something? God did me a favor by not having me have a family of my very own in this world, because there's no way I would have ever forgiven myself if I had. Because long since we're all gonna die at some point, but I wouldn't want my offspring to have to suffer in a realm like this. Just no. But I feel bad for people who don't know, because they went ahead and did that already, and they have absolutely no idea. And I'm talking about people who recently done this. I'm not talking about people who already have children out there now. And don't get me wrong, I feel bad for you guys too, because the same thing applies to them as well. And it's even worse if you are a target individual and you got children, because you're going to be worried about them long since after you're gone. But this is why it's more important to teach them methods to how to defend themselves from this technology, to also teach them how to be aware of this stuff and how to defend themselves both verbally and physically. I personally believe that they use different psyops to attack different types of different parts of life. First off, the independent living thing. Well, they started attacking that when they started basically finding people who were trying to collect rainwater. And if not rainwater, well, it's either that or they put a taxation on that. They put a taxation on fishing. They put a taxation on guns and stuff like that. They put a taxation in place that was long supposed to be gone, because it was just supposed to be temporary. It's never supposed to be permanent. But they keep finding unusual methods as to keep it around. But if you really know the book of law, then you would know that there is absolutely no law out there that requires you to pay taxes. The thing is, they use famous people to try to push the narrative, to use a favorable approach just to convince people. That's what they do. They use that, and they also use people to try to bully others into just being compliant with that, just so the money keeps going in. This is why greed is a hell of a thing. Um, in other cases, people who support this satanic agenda, They are not thinking about these. This is why I started questioning these types of people, if you could even call them that, simply because they don't think about the future. They don't think about the fact that their own children would have to go through this someday. And in most cases, some of these perpetrators actually put their kids head in first into this program, learning how, learning the ropes of how to harass other people and act as if, like nothing's going on. Just teaching them the basics of narcissistic behavior, which is very unhealthy. You know, now that I think about it, I don't think I ever did give two craps about a relationship at all. I don't think I ever did. I had one female try to basically, not even just one, like three, maybe four or five, try to make a pass at me at the last job I had. But um, I just basically it was my profession. Like I never believed in going out with anybody there, so that never happened. And but the problem with the neighborhood, well, that never worked out either because I just didn't trust people in the area, considering a lot of the corruption I was seeing and a lot of the lies and deceitfulness that was going on, and also the fact that nobody was willing to talk about it. So that pretty much threw me off of all of that, and I just said, forget it. But you see, by me knowing all of that, I was becoming a threat to the very fabric of reality that they were trying to push on the general public. This whole thing is all systematic. It's systematic to sabotage urban living. It's systematic to basically sabotage relationships and family relationships. It's systematically, basically set up to just destroy your entire life. And it's crazy because like these people who are responsible for this, they act as if they're not afraid and they act as if they can't be scared, but that's a complete lie. They get scared just like anybody else. They can live in fear just as well as anybody else. They can feel pain just like anybody else. The only difference is they basically lack any type of they lack any type of feeling of doing this to people. When I say there are some people with a really sick, twisted personality, I'm not joking. There really is. These people are teaching their kids to act like this, and people who are having babies now will have to think then on what's going on. And to make matters worse, even that's a part of their agenda too, the whole depopulation thing. And this is where it gets to the point of with MGTOW and feminism, where I believe they're somehow utilizing both groups in order to basically further their agenda purposes. Oh, I'm gonna always believe in men going their own way, but I'm not gonna believe in a man going their own way being puppeteered by some jackass. That I don't believe in. A person should be able to choose their life the way that they choose it. You don't have to feel obligated to be. If you don't want to be in a relationship, you don't have to freaking do it. If you want to, then you could go out and do and basically look for one when you feel like doing it, not when somebody else feels like you should be doing it. No, because in the end, it's your life. It's your life to live, and it's your life to choose who you let in or let out of it. Basically, some people willingly just leave, but you know, they some of those ones that willingly leave, they tend to make things complicated when it comes to that. This could in turn of one, either with cheating or just with some type of gaslighting, anything like that would do in order to stir up things up prior to someone leaving. But that's just the case with that. I've never, as far as experiencing that, it was kind of the reverse for me. I was the one who left, and it was actually my family the ones who were gaslighting me. So it's practically a big risk of me dealing, being around them because, dude, they are so afraid of the corruption. They're so afraid of death. They're so afraid of just losing everything that they just give themselves both their body, minds, and soul to the damn system. And you don't have to do that. I say it once more. This stuff that's out here, it's still going to be here even when we're long gone. We can't take this stuff with us. The jewelry, these clothes, all of this crap. People put way too much into stuff like this, into too much materialistic stuff. This is why it's nearly almost impossible, not entirely impossible, but mostly impossible to find a decent woman out there because so many of them are just hooked on materialistic things, a materialistic lifestyle, and it's like, you can't. How do you expect to really find anything? Find a good person like that when your mind is fully set on materialistic things. I'll repeat, there are some decent women out there that are not like this, but when you're in the U.S., they're like a dime a dozen, and it's not even just like that in the U.S. Every other country has their fair share of females like this. And ladies, don't worry, I get it. There are some guys out there who are also a problem too. I've seen my fair share because I had to deal with some of these assholes with with the whole targeted experience that I had to put up with. So the moral of the whole story is this: don't ever lose this. They're gonna try many different methods, but don't ever let that shatter your hopes and dreams, and don't ever let that discourage you because basically they just get off from seeing you in the line of in a sense of despair. They get off from seeing you weakened. They get off from seeing you in a sad state, in an angry state. They feed off of your energy. But when you're stable and these things don't phase, no matter what they do, this doesn't phase you, that shows that you're on the right path. There may be some hiccups from here and there with some mistakes, but you must understand you are making progress, and you have to remember to stay the pace. This where also in turns being careful of some of the foods you can ingest as well. I stopped eating pork like products and other products because I don't know what they're putting in these foods, and I don't want to pray for food and these bastards don't want to over putting these toxins in there. God would not want me to thank Him for food that was designed to harm me. No, God would want me to basically pray for food that was basically designed to help me. You see how that works? That's also another way that they tricked people as well, saying just pray for every meal that you get. First off, you got to be careful. It's true because you never know when the meal might be your last. That is entirely true, but I just don't think that praying for food that either that was basically meant to basically harm you. I don't think that that's a good idea. This is why knowledge comes into play. You got to be aware of what foods that are okay to eat and foods that are not okay to eat. We already know, based off the research, that sugar is already bad because that causes this stuff, the nanobots, to multiply and create this fungus, basically this fungus-like biofilm that reinduces the attacks and strengthens the attacks in their effects whenever we're being electronically harassed. So there's that. Borax does kill this stuff off, but I'm still skeptical about that because I looked at the box that I got and I did not see a list of ingredients anywhere. I bet we probably could find some ingredients on the net, but the fact that they're not on the box, would you really trust that? Because I wouldn't. And I think, considering what it has the capabilities of doing, I believe that's why they won't give nobody the real recipe of what that stuff is because of what it's capable of. They don't want people having a home site to where they can just mass produce it and then boom, they don't even no longer have to go to the store for it. Everybody, this whole structure has been designed to basically both strip away jobs and also make life more miserable in order to basically boost crime, so that way the cops have more duties to fulfill and more things to do, even though the whole thing's orchestrated from the start. A same system that is meant to help you creates the problem that it seeks out to help. And with this vaccine situation, it's no different. As an example, with those people with the diseases, they continue to support, some of them continue supporting the system and they get off from just harming others who had absolutely nothing to do with them getting this stuff in the first place. All the while they are doing this, they're still being experimented on by the same government that screwed up their lives from the beginning. People who just accept money for tyranny are going to most likely have people who have long since lost their way. We need to learn by example not to follow that path, and to also, become more one with ourselves, and not of this satanic matrix that seeks to just convert us into whatever it wants us to be. And this is where it comes to basically developing an immunity to peer pressure, because peer pressure is nothing more than a psyop. Anyway, I'm not finna go any longer with this video because this is pretty early in the morning. I hope this advice does help a lot of people out, and I hope everybody's having a wonderful morning. I know times are very tough nowadays, but please, for both, I'm praying, sending both my love out to all of you, to both you and your families. Stay strong, never give up, and stand your ground. Don't be afraid of these narcissistic workers of iniquity. Don't. God's gonna punish them eventually. This is why, and again, to quote it again, this is why adrenochrome's a thing, because some of these people are afraid to die. They are afraid to die because they know that they are in for one hell of a punishment once they're gone. And each time, they try to break the balance and, basically break the laws of nature like that, they're just making it worse upon themselves. But don't ever lose hope. Don't. With that said, stay safe, everybody. Stay strong.